So, ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, we are taking it way back to August 2016 when I actually signed my first social media marketing client. I wanted to make this video just to show you what I did well, what I did wrong, and also just how far you can take this business if you stick at it. Now, the first client I ever signed was actually my old football team. I was 16 at the time, and I was actually in Sweden for something called Gothia Cup. And it's basically called like the Youth World Cup teams. I think it's like something ridiculous, like 10,000 teams from all across the world come to Sweden. And it's basically just this huge tournament. Anyways, long story short, at this point in my life, I was starting to learn content creation, video, photo. At this point, I understood how to build up social platforms, or at least to a decent degree. So I'm talking to my coach, and I was very grateful for that club because I was actually the only sponsored player to go. So basically what that means is my cost was subsidized, it was free. And all in all, I was a decent football player, nothing special. I had a short stint playing for Fulham FC, but they were on like a totally another level to me. So from there, as I said, I joined my old football team and had some pretty fun, good years with them. So yeah, as I said, I'm talking to my football coach. And as I said, you need to remember that I was sponsored. So for me, I was suggesting this to do it for free. So I was basically saying how the club could get so many more players and a higher caliber of player if they just stepped up their social media presence. And I was talking to the coach about this, that, exactly what I do, what sort of things I'd implement. And I also kind of knew that was my last year playing. It was taking up too much time. It was quite clear that I wasn't gonna get to professional level. And for me, I just thought, might as well just focus on an area where I can excel, aka business. Anyways, I was giving him all these suggestions and he's like, honestly, yeah, you should do it. And then he goes, and how much would that cost? And for me, I was taken aback because I was like, the idea of a monthly sort of fee or retainer, it was very foreign to me. Like, I didn't know what a retainer was. So I kind of stumbled over my words and I told him, I don't know, I'll get it back to you. And I spent the next month or so actually building out a proposal to show to the owner. Now I built out the proposal and the proposal was for £300 a month. That was my top tier package. And for £300 a month, I did 30 unique Instagram posts, 30 unique Facebook posts, and 4 YouTube videos a month. And keep in mind, I was also curating that content. So I was shooting the content, I was editing it, and then I was distributing it on the social platforms. It was a lot of work. And I always forget this part of the story, but I actually took that to my coach, the £300 a month service fee. And he was like, I think you can bump that up a little bit, to be honest. So I actually ended up pitching $380. I secured the deal. So that was it. That was my first ever social media marketing client. And quite frankly, I look back at that time with such fond memories. I'm not gonna lie to you, I genuinely thought, I was charging £380 a month. The reason it came to $380 a month, and I can break down my exact mental path to get to that number, was I wanted to do £100 a week, but I thought £100 a week sounded too daunting, so I did £95 a week. So I wasn't pitching it in terms of monthly fee, I actually pitched it in terms of weekly fee. So yeah, that came out to £95 a week times 4, $380 a month. And that was how I figured out my pricing for my first ever client. And as I said, looking back now, it's just one of those things where you look at the deliverables into the sort of work that I was doing. And I was basically working at like minimum wage kind of fee, but it was just such a happy time. And I'll get into that in just a second. So make sure you stick around because I'm really gonna give you guys 3 things that I think I did well, that I took away from it, things that I could have improved, and the main lesson that I learned from signing that first client. So the first thing I learned from signing my first ever social media marketing client is no matter who you are, there is a 99% chance that there's someone in your network who could use your services as a social media marketing agency, whether that be content creation and distribution, whether that be SEO, whether that be email marketing for clients, doing Facebook advertising for clients. Whatever it is, whatever sort of agency service you're providing, I think people don't realize just how valuable being an agency owner is. By that, I mean, in my opinion, there are 2 businesses you can have where you are literally valuable to any business owner out there. Number 1 is having a marketing agency. Because literally, at least when you're first starting out and you don't really have a defined niche, anyone can be your client. Honestly, like anyone can be your client in your network, or I will say accountants. Because at the end of the day, everyone needs a good accountant. That said, people aren't very likely to switch accountants or accounting firms. It's just quite a pain. But really, I can't stress this enough. Having a social media marketing agency, keep in mind, I didn't know about SMMA. Like I had, the concept of a retainer was so foreign to me at that point, almost coming up to 4 years ago, August of 2016. But the reason that it came about was because of my network. And from a person or a company in my network that I never thought, I'd have business relationships with. So really what I'm trying to get at here is I'm telling you, there's someone in your network, or there's someone who your mom knows, or your dad knows, or your best friend's parents know. You would be shocked how many potential clients are in your immediate network. As I said, especially in your first month, 3 months, 6 months, where you're kind of, and I use this example a lot, a kid in a candy store where, you know, you're trying a couple different niches and you're seeing what works and what sticks and what gets you excited to run your agency. Almost every single business is a potential client to you. Now it gets a little tougher when you're more seasoned and a more veteran agency owner, because, you know, at that point you're very strict as to what clients you do and don't work with. So just remember, for anyone starting their agency in the first 6 months, your network is so powerful. Utilize it. I guarantee, and I don't care who you are watching this, there's at least one person in your either immediate or the second boundary of that network that needs your services and is very much a potential client. My second lesson from signing my first ever social media marketing client is that first client is by far the hardest to sign. You know, that first client that I signed for 380 pounds a month, it was August of 2016. And then March, or just at the end of February, I think it was right at the beginning of March of 2017 is when I signed my second client, a company called Athlete, now rebranded to GenFlow. I think some of you guys know this, but cool story about them is obviously they were a client of mine for quite a while, and Sean, the CEO and founder, I definitely consider him one of my early mentors. That dude is by far one of the sharpest people I've ever met. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and drop his Insta somewhere like right on the screen now. I'll do one of those little blips. But yeah, you know, I definitely owe a lot to Sean because he definitely saw a lot of faith in me early on. But I signed Athlete for 1,900 pounds a month. So I went from 380 pounds a month to my second client, 1,900 pounds a month. And you know how I said I thought that I was rich when I signed that 380 pound a month client? I will remember that day so vividly. I was sitting outside my physical school. I was sat across from my school because Sean and I had a meeting. I sent the proposal, which by the way, back then I would send proposals, you know, now I think all you guys know my opinion on the way that I sign clients and the efficiency in which I sign clients, etc., etc. But I get a call from Sean, so I've got my backpack. So I go across the street, I sit down on some steps. And by the way, this is lunchtime. So my friends are kind of like walking by after going out from the school to grab lunch at nearby restaurants and stuff like that. And I'm literally sat there hot spotting on my phone, you know, because I got my computer, then I got the contract, and he needed me to make some amendment to some contract in order to sign it. And then he said that, and I'm like, okay, this sounds promising. And then he says, but yeah, apart from that, I've thought about it. It definitely is on the pricier side, but we want to move forward with this. And I cannot even explain what was going through my mind at that time. After the call's done, I shut my computer, I run into school, I run downstairs to the basement. I remember so vividly. And the basement was where the cafeteria was at, and I run and I see my best friend Filippo, and I give Filippo a hug, and I go, bro, we're rich. I don't say I'm rich, I say, bro, we're rich. And that's genuinely how I felt at that point, like signing that second client. But back to the point of this video is, I actually had more anxiety around pitching that first client for 380 a month than I did that second client at 1,900 a month. And the reason that is as I said, that first client, I honestly can't stress this enough. It's that first client that is so much harder than the second, third, fourth client, etc., etc. It just gets so much easier over time. And a lot of the nervousness and the fear and the anxiety that I had around signing that first client, it was still prevalent when I was signing that second client, but it was nowhere near as much, even though the retainer was almost 5 times as much. My last lesson from signing my first ever social media marketing client is to celebrate the small wins. Ladies and gentlemen, August of 2016, and to be honest, even March of 2017 when I signed that second client, I didn't know what social media marketing was. Like, I didn't know there was this weird group of people online that were building these cash flow businesses and building the life of their dreams by using just some simple business concepts. Like, that idea was foreign to me. You know, as I said, a retainer was like, you can actually charge monthly for this? And you know, when they say ignorance is bliss, I think in a lot of ways, ignorance is bliss. Because to be very blunt with you, there have been stages at every single step of my journey where I've been exposed to another level of life, of thinking, of what's possible. And that's a blessing in many ways, but a cursing in many others, because I will tell you right now, almost 4 years into having my agency and having the sort of life that I have never felt less financially wealthy. In a lot of other ways, I feel extremely wealthy, but I don't even view myself as someone who makes a lot of money. So as the saying goes, ignorance is bliss. I think that first client and that second client, and to be honest, even all the other ones after that point, for quite a long time in my journey, it was one of those things where ignorance is bliss. Like I genuinely felt as though I was on top of the world. Like I didn't look at that first client for 380 pounds a month and compare myself to someone else or what they were doing. Or I didn't look at that second client for 1,900 pounds a month and go, ah, yeah, but they're not a 3,500 a month, or oh, I'm not making 10K a month yet. I just soaked up that win. Like that W, it sat with me for a long time. And I celebrated at the time of recording this, and I don't know, when this will actually go out. It really does depend on upload schedule, but at least at the time of recording this, a week ago, I signed a 15,000 pounds, so $20,000 2-day training. So it only takes 2 days of my time, 2 8-hour days. Usually I fly out to a client and basically I build out their webinar, or I'll build out their funnel, or maybe I'll train their team. And I only do this with agency clients of mine. But this client actually flew to Cape Town, which I'm at right now. And I locked on this client for 15,000 pounds, $20,000. And I actually put it up in a vlog, and my reaction after the payment came through was, cool. In fact, I was a little disappointed because I charge 25,000 pounds currently for a 2-day webinar build, where I build out an entire webinar for a client from start to finish, all done by me and my team. Now, this client got a discount for the fact that they came to me rather than me traveling. I'm at a point right now where I don't really want to travel. I like being settled in one place for a decent amount of time. So they got a discount for that, and they got a discount for the fact that they actually used to be an agency client, then tried to bring it in-house, now got us to build out their new webinar, and now also want to come back on board as an agency client because they realize it's not as simple as it looks. So yeah, rather than 25,000 pounds a month, I charge them 15,000 pounds a month. And if you told me 3 years ago that I would be charging $20,000 for 2 days of my time, let alone what I'm used to pitching, which is I think close to like $32,000, $34,000 for a 2-day training, it would have shattered my reality. And that's because, as I said, ignorance is bliss. So I beg, I implore you, if you are signing your first, your second, your third, honestly, even if you're at your 30th agency client, celebrate the win. And especially, as I said, if it's that first 1 or 2 clients, because I'm telling you, it's a magical moment. You only have that feeling once. So please, if you're on the verge of signing your first client or your second client, soak it in, and don't you dare compare yourself to anyone else, because that is your win, and don't let anyone take it away from you. I'm so grateful the fact that I had no idea this entire world existed at that point, and I didn't look outside of myself. I just took that W and I soaked it in, as I said. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you, I really hope that you took my advice and let my points sink in and land. As I said, this is coming from someone who's about to celebrate their 4th anniversary having their agency in multiple different capacities. As my agency went from a creative agency to almost a bit of a full service agency, and now at a point where we only do paid traffic for our clients. Yeah, I really do hope that you took all those points home and you took them to heart. Anyways, can you do me a favor and smash that like button? We're actually trying to get to 300,000 subscribers this year. And guys, we're making really solid pace. And that is all down to you guys, your engagement, your comments. So if you could drop a like on this video, it really helps promote the video, the page. And as I said, guys, we're on a mission to get to 300,000 subscribers this year. So let's do it. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Working with someone else on a couple of V's. What do you really think of the nigga that's making your beats? I've done things for